All right, legends, welcome to IQ session number 30 something.
3,900.
3,423.
Yeah.
Tonight is all about Discipline 101. How to say no when everyone else is saying yes. Now, the reason this one is coming up now is because we are being let out of lockdown, and it's also coming into the social season as well. So we're all in an 8-week challenge, or most of us are in an 8-week challenge. We've got goals that we want to achieve, whether you're doing the challenge or not. And how do you kind of stay on track, and how do you not miss out, but how do you also make sure that you've got your goals and stuff first? And because there's a reason you set these goals. You don't set them just because, my mum told me to. Maybe you did. But we do these because we want to feel better. We want to look better. We think that, the grass is greener on the other side. But however, if you keep staying on this side of the fence, you'll never get to the other side to see if the grass is greener. That made not much sense, but you kind of know where I'm going with it, surely. Please.
It doesn't sound very appealing.
No, it doesn't at all, does it?
No.
Anyway, well, just know that I mean good things and very intelligent stuff. But yeah, so we're coming into the silly season, the social season, and whether it be Christmas parties or just catching up with friends because you haven't been able to see them for so long. The friend brings out the bottle of wine, you've got some calories, you've got numbers left over that you can apply to it, but how do you kind of stick within reason? How do you say no to the second bottle? Or the mate's like, it's a public holiday, let's drink. It's like, well, it's not really in my plan for the week, all that kind of stuff. So how do you say no when you need to say no?
Easy. No.
N-O.
That is
universal
it.
And done.
No.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a great night.
It's the quickest session ever.
No. Yeah, it was all the intro.
The easiest way to do it is I find that if you know that the event or the socializing or whatever it is coming up, you can plan your day around it. So we allocate through these challenges an extra, is it 600 calories, isn't it?
Yes.
An extra 600 calories. So if you're going to catch up with a friend and you want to enjoy those moments from a social point of view, where you think you're going to have a couple of drinks and stuff like that, a little bit extra things outside your normal typical day to day, then you would need to probably allocate those extra 600 points if that's what you want to do to catch up with your friends, so that you don't have to miss out and say, oh no, I'm doing a challenge, I couldn't possibly dare have a drink of a glass of wine or a beer or something like that. That's not what this challenge is about. It's about finding balance, and it's just not about going and getting blind drunk and then writing off the next 3 days because you're hungover for those 3 or 4 days and making worse decisions on the other side of it. It's about planning yourself to enjoy those catch-ups with friends and not feel like you can never go out and not do something because you're doing a challenge and you're trying to be healthy and you're a member of a gym. Like, that is not what this is about. It's about finding balance so that you do not miss out on those things and you get to enjoy those things with the friends, and you don't have to be afraid of a glass of wine or a beer or something like that. It's perfectly fine to have them if you like them.
So the first thing is really know your numbers. So you got to know, what have you, like, 9 times out of 10, you're going to know that, I'm catching up with a girlfriend tomorrow night or something like that. You go, cool. All right, I'm going to allocate my extra 600 day to that catch up. But maybe you also need to skimp by for that day too. Like, if you're having, you're going to be going out for pizzas and beers and stuff like that, there's nothing wrong with that. But what you want to do first is you want to do a quick calculation of roughly how much you're going to spend on your calories that night. And you might just need to get by on 500 calories for the first half of the day and up until that night. Skimp by. It might not be ideal, but you're allowing for that night. The other option is really coming down into the nitty gritty of knowing your number is if you know that you're going to have a cheese platter or something like that, do some quick calculations before you go and go, cool. All right. I know I can have about this much camembert. I know I can have about this roughly, just so you roughly know, because it's like if your mum gives you $20 to go to the movies, you got to budget, you know that your ticket's going to be this, and you got to work out how you're going to get lollies too with your movie ticket.
So I'm going to jump in real quick on that. And the cool part is when you do that and you know what you can and can't have, and you've done the math sort of before you go, you kind of know what you're going to be eating anyway. So the cool part about that is they don't know that you're calculating what you're eating. They can see that you're eating. You're not missing out. You're not going, oh no, I'm doing a challenge. I don't eat that stuff, because I'm all about health, and health is wealth and all that stuff there. Life is meant to be enjoyed. It's not meant to be afraid of it. You can have the cheese, you can have the
cheese is delicious.
Exactly. So the idea is that you are meant to be able to have it, but it just means you can't blow it out of the water with it like you may have done in the past. We're trying to create new habits that allow you to have these things and savor the flavor and enjoy the time and the presence with people. And that's what it's all about. It's always been about that. But you also have to be disciplined on the flip side of it, that if you haven't budgeted for the calories, you've got to be disciplined enough going into that to say, when stop is stop, and not just go, oh, well, I'll write this day off and I'll start again tomorrow. You kind of got to be disciplined enough to pull back and stick to those numbers, even if it means you have to have 2 drinks less than your friends are having. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
But some tips for before you engage in those social events as well is, if they're the right kind of people to be around, if they're the right kind of friends, tell them first. Go, hey guys, I'm coming. I've budgeted 2 glasses of wine. Please don't try and make me have any more. You know, if they're the right kind of friends, communicate with them. Communicate like you would communicate with your husband or your partner, your significant other, and get them on board. Let them support you in what you're trying to do, because you never know if you might inspire them. But on the flip side, if they're doing everything they can to sabotage you, then maybe you need to rethink your friends, and maybe they're not the right people to be hanging around, and maybe you need to do some culling. Because if you want to be in a certain, if you want change, you can't keep doing what you've always done. Like the definition of insanity is repeatedly doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So you actually have to change some habits. You have to change the way you go about some things. So our first point was know your numbers and really stick to your numbers, budget for them, plan, etc., etc. Our second one is you got to create new habits. And so if you've always gone out with the girls and you've always got shit-faced and eaten like 4 large pizzas, well, reality check is that's not going to get you where you want to get to, unless it is. But I'm pretty sure 4 large pizzas and getting shit-faced is probably not going to get you to where your goals are.
Exactly. And you got to remember that everything that you have is because of what you've done right to this point. So if you're overweight, it's because you've eaten stuff to get you overweight.
We have a little saying that we love. If you're fat, you ate it. If you broke, you spent it. If you're in a shitty relationship, you chose it. You're not a tree, you can move.
And that's such a great philosophy to live by, because the reality is that everything's a choice, and we don't have to because we chose something. We can always change that philosophy. Just because our friends are toxic doesn't mean we have to keep them in our life. It just means that sometimes you need to make a change and find new friends that are happy and positive and want to get you to where you want to get to, instead of pulling you down to keep you in their little rut and routine. And let's get shit-faced on the weekend. Let's do this. And sometimes you just have to learn that it's okay to have those friends in small doses.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. But I really think, like, if they are the right friends right friends for you, fill them in, communicate with them, going, cool, like I want to come and enjoy it, etc. But I can't drink tonight. Or if you want to drink, if you don't want to drink, tell them you can't drink tonight. But if you do want to enjoy a glass of wine or whatever it is that you want to enjoy, clearly communicate with them. You know, we're only doing 1 bottle tonight. We usually do 2, but I only want to do 1 because I don't like the way it makes you feel, or whatever it might be. Because you need to set yourself your standards, and you need to be able to stick to them. And the way you stick to them is you get people on board to help you. And the more you share your vision, and the more you share with the right people around you what you want to achieve, the more people that can support you and help, you know, be like the 10-pin bowling lane, and they put the little supports down when you're a little kid because you can't get them down the lane. The little bumpers, that's the word. You know, you need friends to be bumpers for you, not people that, you know, are trying to drag you down. So you got to communicate what you're trying to achieve, and bring friends along on the journey. Bring your people around, get your support crew.
I like that. That's a good one.
The next point is you got to plan for interruptions.
That's a good one. And interruptions coming into the festive season that would be interruptions, work
Mm.
dues, all that sort of stuff. We've been in lockdown for a long period of time here in Victoria. So all of a sudden, we're allowed to meet up at a cafe now. We can go out and enjoy these things, but they lead to catching up with friends and the excitement kicks in and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blown out your calories. Oh, well, I'm here now, carry on. So the idea is that you have to plan for those interruptions. And we're coming into the festive season. And now this challenge isn't about going without. You need to be really clear of that. It's not about the have-nots. It's about you can have whatever you want, but you just need to be mindful of it. And if you have that friend that you have usually overindulge with, you have to plan accordingly. So the interruptions in this end of the year is generally the festive season. It's the Christmas parties. It's the especially after lockdown, it's catching up with friends. It's all those things that typically in an ordinary life, when you're not on a journey, a health journey, you would let them dictate your next few months, and that's normal. And what we're saying to you is like they're there to be enjoyed. They're not there to be afraid of. They're there to embrace, to catch up with your friends, to have the moment. But you need to be planned for it and not be caught off guard for it. And disciplined enough too that if you've blown out your calories for the day and they want to catch up that night to go and have a few drinks, you kind of need to say, I'm so sorry, I can't catch up tonight. Can we catch up tomorrow? Or can we catch up on the weekend? Or can we catch up?
Or go out and have water.
That
like
too.
so you can still socialize and do those things, but if you've blown your day, you've got to remember that you're an adult. And mummy's not telling you to not eat anymore or anything like that. You've got to man up and make the decision. Going, first of all, what are your goals? Like, start with your clear vision, with the end goal in sight, clear as day. Why did you start this? What do you want from this? What would life be like at the end of it if you get it? And then what would life be like if you didn't get it? So that you have some pretty good contrast there. Then you can make those decisions and remember that you are an adult and you get to decide what goes into your mouth, etc., and how you treat your body. And it also, on that note, is you're not a dog. You don't need to reward yourself with food. And it doesn't come down to that. So you can enjoy yourself. You can go out for dinners and stuff like that. But maybe rather than trying gluttony, like you may have done beforehand and stuffing faces and stuff like that, is maybe then you choose a lighter option on the menu. Or maybe you have, one glass instead of two, and maybe you alternate between sparkling water or something like that. Like, there's ways around it. So you don't have to miss out, because the experience is is what it's all about. It's not what necessarily goes in your mouth. You can hang out with friends, and we'll quite often do it. We don't really drink that much. We're not big drinkers, but we'll happily go out and I'll have a sparkling water and hang out with friends, and it's still just as much friends. Like, it's much fun. Like, they don't care that if I've got champagne or if I've got water, as long as I'm fun to be around with and not a Debbie Downer because I'm only drinking water. Like, you had the power to make these choices.
And it's a good reflection too, is if you do go out with friends and family and stuff like that, and if they respond when you are just drinking water because you make the choice to actually just want to drink water, if they have a go at you, so to speak, or mock you for drinking water or going, what are you just drinking water for? It's usually a key indicator there of the type of person they have, a friendship they have with you too. So quite often you go, okay, cool, this person is not really supporting me with my decisions. They're challenging me on them, and maybe they don't respect them or something like that. So quite often you can sit back and reflect and go, all right, cool, maybe that person isn't who I need to associate a lot of time with, because, not saying don't associate with them, just allocate less time with them, because you may want different things than they want. And if you're around them all the time, unfortunately, the power of your friends is you will gravitate towards them. It just happens. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. And it's a law. You can't defy it as much as you want to.
There's been so many studies done on the average, on that being the average of your 5 closest friends. And, bank accounts are similar. Health is similar. Weight is similar. And all that kind of thing. So you need to really choose wisely on where you invest your time and who you let speak into your brain to, and how you let them support you. Like, do they lift you up or do they pull you down?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Like that one. Easy peasy. And you also need to, with our next point here we got, is you need to follow through on what you say you are going to do. So if you go out and say, I've got X amount of calories in my day left, and I'm going to go enjoy them, I'm going to have a couple of drinks with my friends, and you get to the end of those calories, because that's your allocation, that's what you've given, you have to be disciplined enough to say, I said I was only going to have 3 glasses of wine for dinner with my friend, and they brought up the next bottle. I can be grown up enough to say, I'm good, thanks, guys. And that's their personal hang up if they don't think it's fair on them because you're doing it.
And I promise you that if you haven't experienced that yet, and you do get to experience it, you will feel on top of the world compared to, I feel stink because I did an extra glass than what I said I would do.
Yeah, 100%.
I promise you, you will feel so much better than that glass of wine tastes.
Yeah.
And like the next day, and just and what it does for building your trust within yourself, because trust is so easily broken, and it's a thing that needs to be earned. So you know that with your friends, with family, with work colleagues, whatever it might be. But there's also trust with yourself too. You need to be able to back up and trust yourself that you can back up what you say you're going to do. And it's building a muscle. It's like it's like doing Muscle Monday and getting stronger each Monday. You have to build the muscle and practice it. It doesn't just happen naturally. And there's a really good book we actually recommended on that book recommendation I think we did is The Speed of Trust. And it's all about actually starting with trusting yourself, because if you don't trust yourself, how can anyone else trust you too?
Yeah.
So that kind of starts from there. That's really the foundation of how to get disciplined, is, saying what you're going to, it's putting in a plan, but doing what you say you're going to do. And that comes down to trust.
Exactly. And you got to remember, you don't need to please everyone. And I find like if you don't go out to please everyone, you find that you have a much better time. But if you're always trying to be a pleaser and get in front of everyone and do what they do because that's what they're doing, you find that you're not ever really going to enjoy it, because you're actually going against what you truly want to do. But if your friends are influencing you, which is what they do, that's why we have to choose our friends very carefully, because when we do things like a health challenge and they're not on the health challenge, the friendship generally wins. They'll drag you over that way, and all of a sudden you're off the health challenge and you go, oh, well, it didn't work. Well, no, it did work. It's just that you didn't follow through on what you said you were going to do because your friends influenced your decision. So I'm going to share an example of Mr. Dodgy. He's a member of ours, and this is like, he shared this the other day. It was the Melbourne Cup, and he went out to his mates, and his mates had prepped all the drinks and everything, and he was going around there, and he just has a rule that he lives by for himself from Monday to Friday afternoon. He just doesn't drink during the week because he's a busy man. He's got lots to do, and he's got goals he set out for himself, and he honors what he said he was going to do to himself. Now, his friends in his circle know that that's the code he kind of lives by, and they've just sort of accepted it. The Melbourne Cup came just the other week, obviously, and it was a day where most people just get shit-faced hammered and bed all day and that sort of stuff there. So he caught up with friends. They were drinking, of course, and they had all these drinks, and he turned up, and of course he didn't drink because it's midweek, and just because it's public holiday for him, it's a code that he lives by, and he just honored what he said. And of course the friends badgered him, and he did that, but he got more respect from his friends by standing by what he stands for than trying to please his friends.
Yeah.
And of course they gave him stick about, oh man, you pussy, oh this, that, but he was okay with it because he knew in himself he wasn't that type of person. He was honoring what he said he was going to do to himself. And that is a definition of a person who's confident in themselves, instead of letting peer pressure sway us to a decision that we don't want to do, but we're trying to please our friends. And he's just, it's a non-negotiable standard he set for himself. It's just like, no, this is my body. This is my life. These are my choices. And you are my friend. But if that's what you think, then maybe we need to spend a little bit less time so I can achieve the goals that I want to set out to do.
So this is very much based around going out and socializing and stuff like that. But of course, these philosophies and strategies can be applied to anything that you want to do or hold yourself to. And that comes down to discipline. And again, it is building a muscle. So a little tip, a little suggestion, a little strategy that you can put in your tool belt for before you head out to your social event, whatever it may be. Here's an extreme way to tackle this. Stand in front of the mirror, stark naked.
Get naked.
And look at yourself and go, cool. The decisions I'm about to make, are they going to get me to where I want to get to, or are they not?
Getting deep.
Because remember, we're not hiding behind any clothes and, oh, this top makes me look skinny and these jeans don't make my butt look big, all that kind of thing. No, stark naked in front of the mirror. And it's a really good slap in the face of, how am I tracking? And then what that can happen now, because now it's fresh in your mind, when you go out, you can go, I've just experienced standing in front of the mirror, butt naked, looking at myself. All right, I can now effectively make the right decisions for me because I know my goals. So you want to know your goals. You always want to make sure. There's so many studies to show that writing down your goals makes them 10 times more powerful than just coming up with a goal. To be written down and then to read them regularly, the people that do that are so much more likely to achieve and succeed at those goals. So look at your goals, write them down, read them, check yourself out in the mirror, and get real about it.
I'm just going to get something. Keep going.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
cool.
I'll be back.
Then maybe even you could go back to your week 1 photo, because by now your body's probably, most of you have shifted quite a bit actually, which is awesome. I'm most of the way through all of your photos, which is awesome. And I'm already seeing incredible changes. And so you'll be able to see a difference. So you can look at that first week photo, and if that's what you want to be for the rest of your life, great, go and do what you usually do. But if it's not, then you've got a decision to make. How do you want to approach the night ahead?
Exactly.
So take a snapshot and really get like uncomfortable and just get prepped so that you can make the right decisions.
All right. So I've just run upstairs and got these out of our shower because this is what we look at and we start our day with. It's just a laminated sheet with words on it, pictures on it that they mean stuff to us. So they may not mean anything to you, but for us, we live by these. So this first one I'm going to show you, hopefully it doesn't glisten too much, but we have that stuck in this one's in front of the mirror. And these are our values that we live by. We've got pictures associated to words. We've got the words which mean to us. They may not mean, you might read them differently, but we have an association to those words around us. They're 5 values that we live by. They're not the same as each other. They're just our personal values, which means when we make a decision on what we're about to do, we need to make sure that it lines up with these values that we do. Cool. So we have this visually, we see it every morning while we're brushing our teeth, getting ready before we head into work to start the day. While we're in the shower, we have this one stuck in the shower on the shower screen. And so while you're having a shower, you can actually look at these pictures and set yourself up. So when you're making decisions and bits and pieces for your day, this is what you're starting before you even get out of the shower. You've actually reinforced that these are the things you're working for. This is why you're up at stupid o'clock in the morning. This is why you do the big long hours. This is why you get uncomfortable when you're tired. You still go out and do the exercise and all those things there, because that's what we're working towards. And that's why we have those things.
So we're visually reminding ourselves as often as we possibly can, what we want to achieve, where we're heading, and what's it all for. And I really love coming back to the first one. These are what we call I am words, which are values and stuff like that. So Matt's the top one, and we have pictures to associate with it as well, because we're visual people. And we can actually, this is like a measurement tool or a filter system for when you're making decisions. So we recommend coming up with 5 words or 5 I say words, but healthy, fit, and strong is one for us. And there's mine on the bottom as well. So that you can kind of filter your decisions based through these 5 I am words or values. Like, cool. All right. So, I'm healthy, fit, and strong. So would a healthy, fit, and strong person do this? Kind of take it away from the self and, look at it from that perspective. Go, cool. Would a healthy, fit, and strong person have that 4th glass of wine? If it's in her calories, yes, she would. Possibly. Would she? It's your decision to make. Would a kind person do this? We're associating to those words, and we associate them to a finger so we can remember them all the time. And it's a really good filter system to help bring it back to your goals and the kind of person you want to be.
And when you find yourself getting a bit wayward and you're not tracking your calories, or you're hanging out with different people, you can always ground yourself and come back to those 5 I am words that you just sort of say, is where I am right now, does it line up with those 5 things? If it doesn't, then you're at a point where you get to make a choice where you can make a change. Because just because the person may be nice, but they're leading you down a different path, doesn't mean you have to hang out with that person again. You can be honoring what you want to be towards yourself. So really cool. We greet ourselves with these in the morning, every morning. And the reason we do it is just to remind ourselves while we're up at stupid o'clock. And why we're getting ready when everyone else is sleeping for another couple of hours.
It's our GPS system. If you're in a car driving to Sydney, you have the GPS running, and it reminds you every now and then when you need to take a turn. And that's exactly what this is doing. It's just as often as possible. This is also our phone backgrounds, so that we see that. Oh, you probably can't see that because my phone's all cracked. We see that every day as well. So as many visual reminders you possibly can, because we remember
Pictures.
things in pictures rather than words. So just remind yourself of, so first of all, you got to be clear on your end goal. You really do. You got to plan for it. You got to make a plan. You got to create new habits, because doing what you've always done will get you what you've always got. And you are 100% a result of all the choices you have made up until this point. So it's going to get uncomfortable at times for sure, but it doesn't mean you have to go without. You don't have to miss out on anything or anything like that. And then plan for interruptions, follow through on what you say you're going to do, and remember why you started. It's always just going back to those end goals as well.
Perfect.
That's pretty much all I got.
You nailed that one. That was good.
Did you have anything else?
No, I think you took all my words. It was like, oh, no, you go. Okay, yeah, there you go. Oh, okay, good.
Sharon's talking
again.
It's just
cool.
like boot camp with you. So I think that kind of concludes this, and I hope that guy gives you some great thinking points and some great strategies and ideas of how to kind of approach, especially coming into the social season, and how you just can stick to your goals, and how you can make this not just an 8-week challenge, how you can take it from, these the next 7 weeks now, and take it to lifelong, because you can have the body of your dreams, you can look and feel fantastic all the time if you choose to. It just comes down to creating new habits and what you choose, where you choose to invest your time. And maybe you may have to go through a little bit of friendship culling, or just spending less time with those people, but that might just have to be a little bit of a sacrifice that you have to make if you want to get to a certain point.
Because at the end of the day, the person who may be pulling you down, and maybe we call them pullers, but maybe they're pulling you down when you share what you want to do. Oh, I'm going to go and lose weight. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to share a goal. And they find a negative in your goal. And we all have them in our lives. And you just have to go, okay, cool. This person's a puller. They're going to pull me down. So I need to probably limit my time with those people, because if I spend all my time with those people and you're the average of your 5 closest friends, that means you soon become a puller. And no matter how strong you are, you gravitate to their habits. That's why it's so crucial who you choose to spend your time with. And there's nothing wrong with spending time with people who are career driven, goal driven, all those sorts of people, because it promotes you to want more from your life too, which is really, really cool. And if you hung out with us, we'd annoy the crap out of you, because we're all about goals and dreams and push and go.
All the time. Does anyone have any questions on that? Have we kind of covered most of it? Feel free to either raise your hand or
send a message.
Put a message in the chat. But of course, we're always available to answer your questions at any point. You've got, I definitely got my number, so just please reach out at any point. But hopefully this is giving you some strategies to remember going into those situations. Plan for it, skimp by through the day to allow for a bigger night more than usual if you want to have pizza or whatever it might be, and enjoy those moments. Remember, don't go out. You don't have to be the weird person on a challenge that, is boring and can't do anything anymore, can't eat anything or anything like that. But you have the choice. The choice is with you. And that kind of is a really good lead into, in 2 weeks' time, Mr. Dean Popplestone, he goes by the name of The Average Man. He's there waving to us on the couch. He will be chatting to you. He's a brilliant speaker. And you'll learn a lot from him. And he's actually going to talk to you about the power of choice and taking back that power. And so that's in 2 weeks' time. This is the new time slot for IQ sessions, 7:30 p.m., just to allow for all of our face-to-face sessions and stuff like that, the classes. And next week, we will be chatting about macronutrients. So a bit more food-based. If you have any questions, feel free to send them through to make sure that we answer everything in one hit. But other than that, it is 8 p.m. If you have no further questions, we are going to go and let you enjoy your evening. Bid you adieu. Have a wonderful evening. But thank you guys again for investing in you. If there's ever a topic that you would love us to attack, please send it through. We're always open to suggestions. But you guys rock. We love you. We thank you. We're very grateful for you. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you tomorrow for Friday.
Cheers, legends.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.